Great Abara, please, free me from this curse. I just want to live freely, to love, without fear.
Naya, I have heard your plea. The curse will be lifted, but remember, your true test begins now. Lose your compassion, and the darkness will return, stronger than ever.
Once upon a time, in the peaceful village of Karu, nestled amidst lush green hills and crystal-clear streams, there lived a young woman named Naya. She was not only famous for the freshest fruits and vegetables she sold at the market, but also for her gentle smile, as radiant as the morning sun, brightening the days of everyone around her. Naya was unlike any other girl in the village. Her long black hair flowed like a cascading stream, and her deep eyes seemed to hold the secrets of the universe, captivating anyone who dared to look into them. Each time she appeared, the market came alive, not just with the bustling of customers, but with admiring glances and murmurs from the young men enchanted by her presence. One man whispered, "Naya, she must be a gift from the gods. How can someone be both so beautiful and so kind?" Another boulder called out, "Naya, you're as radiant as the sunrise. Would you marry me?" But Naya would always respond with the same gentle smile. Her lips curved perfectly, yet her reply remained unchanged. "Thank you, but I'm not ready." Despite her popularity, no one in the village knew where she lived. Naya would appear early each morning, carrying baskets of the freshest fruits and vegetables, as if they had been plucked from a mystical garden unseen by anyone. By the time the sun dipped behind the hills, she would quietly disappear, leaving the market before the darkness could envelop the village. The villagers began whispering, not just about her beauty, but about the mystery surrounding her. "Where does she come from?" asked an old woman sitting at the corner of the market, her eyes never leaving Naya's retreating figure. Could she be from the faraway hills, the ones no one dares to explore? Speculations spread like wildfire. With each unanswered question, Naya's allure grew even more enigmatic. Some claimed she was an angel sent to aid humanity. Others whispered she might be descended from the spirits of the sacred forest nearby, a place believed to be home to mystical beings. Regardless of the stories spun about her, no one dared to approach Naya directly. There was something about her, something that inspired both admiration and an unspoken fear. One day, a young flower seller, innocent and curious, asked, "Naya, where do you live? I've never seen you in our village." Naya crouched down, gently brushing the child's hair with a kindness that seemed almost otherworldly. "Take good care of your flowers," she said softly. "They will lead you to magical things." Her vague response only deepened the villagers' curiosity. Some began secretly following her as she left the market, but each time they lost her at the edge of the eastern forest. That forest was rumored to hold pathways leading deep into sacred lands where even sunlight struggled to penetrate. No one in Karu truly knew who Naya was, but one thing was certain: she was different. Each morning when Naya arrived, it felt as if the village awoke to new life. Yet, when she departed, she took a piece of that light with her, leaving behind an emptiness and an insatiable curiosity. "Is she even human?" an elderly man wondered aloud, his eyes closing as though trying to recall a long-lost memory. Naya never answered the villagers' questions, nor did she concern herself with their gossip. She continued her daily routine, cloaking herself in an invisible shroud of secrecy that protected her from the prying eyes of the world. But deep in her heart, Naya knew she couldn't hide forever. One day, the truth would come to light, and when it did, the entire village of Karu would never be the same. One bright morning, as the golden sunlight poured over Karu's bustling marketplace, where laughter mingled with the aroma of fresh fruits, a young merchant named Kiran appeared. He was from a distant village, renowned for his sharp intuition and keen eye for uncovering true value. That day, he came searching for the finest fruits to take on his long journey. As Kieran strolled through the crowded stalls, something unusual happened. Amid the lively chatter of the marketplace, his gaze was inexplicably drawn to a graceful figure arranging golden ripe mangoes on a small stall. It was Naya. In that moment, the world around him seemed to fall silent. Naya was unlike anyone Kieran had ever met. Her long black hair flowed like silk under the sunlight, her bright eyes sparkled as if holding an entire galaxy, and her gentle smile carried an air of mystery that was both soothing and intriguing. Kieran's heart began to race, its rhythms suddenly out of sync. Summoning his courage, he stepped forward and offered her a warm smile.
Hello, I'm Kieran. These mangoes look incredible, but they still pale in comparison to your beauty.
His bold words turned heads, drawing curious glances from nearby vendors. But contrary to the shy reaction one might expect, Naya let out a soft laugh, the sound light and musical. Thank you, Kieran. I'm Naya. What can I help you with today? Her gentle reply only deepened Kieran's fascination. They talked for a while, mostly about mundane things like the price of fruit or the village's weather. Yet, for Kieran, every second spent near Naya felt like a precious gift he wasn't ready to let go of. From that day on, Kieran became a regular at the Karu marketplace. Every morning he would show up, not because he needed fruit, but just to see Naya. Even on days when he had nothing to buy, he invented reasons to linger at her stall.
I have a long trip ahead today, but maybe I need more mangoes. Naya, do you think I should pick these oranges or try that new batch of melons over there?
Naya always smiled at his seemingly trivial questions, and though she didn't say it, she began looking forward to his visits. Kieran's presence brought a warmth to her day that she hadn't felt before. Still, behind her smile, a part of Naya held back. She knew there were secrets she could never share, even with someone she was beginning to care about. Kieran wasn't just captivated by Naya's beauty. It was the enigma surrounding her that kept pulling him closer. He noticed that no one in the village could answer even the simplest questions about her. One day, while they were chatting, he tried to ask directly, Naya, you always show up here with the most wonderful fruits, but I've never heard anyone say where you live. Could you share that with me? Naya hesitated, her gaze shifting slightly before she answered calmly. I live nearby, Kieran. There's nothing particularly special about it. Her concise reply only fueled Kieran's curiosity. He felt as though an invisible wall stood between them, something he couldn't breach, yet couldn't walk away from. Over time, their relationship evolved beyond fleeting conversations. Kieran began sharing stories of his journeys through far-off villages, of dusty roads and the colourful characters he'd met along the way. Naya listened intently, occasionally laughing softly at his humorous anecdotes. In return, Naya spoke about life at the market and the various villages she encountered, though she skillfully avoided personal topics. Every moment they spent together warmed Naya's heart, but beneath her smiles, an unspoken fear lingered. She wondered, if Kieran knew the truth about me, would he still look at me with such kindness? Kieran, on the other hand, found his feelings for Naya deepening. It was no longer mere admiration or curiosity. He wanted to be by her side, to protect her, to understand everything about her. Yet, the closer he tried to get, the more he sensed a formidable secret keeping them apart. Can I ever break through this wall? He often wondered. Or is Naya destined to remain an unreachable dream? These questions haunted Kieran, though he couldn't have known that Naya's secret was far greater than anything he could imagine. And when that secret was finally revealed, it wouldn't just change his life, it would alter the fate of the entire village of Karu forever. As the sun sank behind the distant mountains, the bustling marketplace of Karu began to quiet. Naya carefully rearranged her baskets of ripe fruit, preparing to leave. The air grew still, broken only by the rhythmic chirping of crickets as night began to drape its shadow over the village. Nearby, Kieran stood watching her as he often did. But tonight, an unfamiliar feeling stirred within him, a deep, unshakable urge to protect her. After a few moments of hesitation, he stepped forward and spoke, his voice steady yet gentle.
Naya, let me walk you home. It's late and it's not safe to go alone.
Naya looked up, her eyes flickering with surprise before softening into her usual calm demeanour. I'm used to walking alone, she said with a faint smile. But if you insist, I won't say no. Though her response was kind, a wave of unease rose within her. She knew all too well that the path they were about to take was no ordinary road. They set off down the narrow path leading out of the village, skirting the edge of the dense eastern forest. Pale moonlight filtered through the canopy above, casting eerie shadows that danced across the ground. The chill of the evening wind carried faint, whispering sounds, as if the forest itself were alive with secrets. Kieran, sensing the weight of the silence, tried to break the tension. This path is beautiful, but strange. I've never heard anyone mention it before. Naya chuckled softly, but said nothing. Her gaze remained fixed ahead, deliberately avoiding his curious eyes. Suddenly, a shiver ran down Kieran's spine. A peculiar sensation gripped him, as if unseen eyes were following their every move. He stopped and glanced back, only to see the encroaching darkness behind them. Then, something icy, cold as death, brushed against his shoulder. He spun around, his breath hitching, but there was nothing there. Just the rustling branches swaying in the wind. Kieran inhaled deeply, trying to calm the pounding of his heart. Naya, he stammered, his voice trembling. Did you feel something just now? Naya turned, her expression serene, as if nothing had happened. Don't worry, Kieran, she said calmly. You're just imagining things. Her composure did little to ease his anxiety. In fact, her unshakable calm only deepened his unease. The deeper they ventured into the forest, the heavier the air became. The dry leaves crunching beneath their feet seemed unnaturally loud, as if every step they took was being listened to. The wind picked up, carrying with it a sound like a distant, mournful sigh. Kieran could bear it no longer. He stopped abruptly, his voice betraying his fear. I'm sorry, Naya.
But I think I should turn back. It's too dark, and this place feels wrong.
Naya halted, her calm gaze meeting his. She smiled faintly, but something in that smile sent a chill through him.
If you're scared, I won't stop you. Sleep well, Kieran.
Her words were gentle, yet they echoed in his mind like a warning. Nodding quickly, Kieran turned and began walking briskly back toward the village. His footsteps echoed in the stillness, each one sounding as if he were being pursued by an unseen shadow. When Kieran finally reached his home, his shirt was soaked with sweat despite the night's chill. He slammed the door shut, leaning against it as he struggled to steady his breathing. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't shake the image of Naya's tranquil eyes or the icy touch on his shoulder. That night, Kieran dreamt he was wandering through an ominous forest. The branches above twisted into claw-like shapes, reaching for him. In the distance, he saw Naya, but her gaze was no longer gentle. Her eyes had become deep, endless voids, pulling him into a bottomless abyss. The next morning, Kieran didn't go to the market, nor the day after, or the day after that. The villagers began to whisper, "Where's Kieran? He never misses a day at the market." Do you think he discovered something about Naya? But no one knew the truth. That night on the forest path, Kieran had felt the presence of something that didn't belong to this world. From that moment on, he never dared set foot near the Karu marketplace again. Meanwhile, Naya continued her daily routine as if nothing had happened. Her smile remained warm, her gaze calm. Yet for those who looked closely, a faint sadness occasionally flickered in her eyes. She knew why Kieran hadn't returned, but she said nothing. After all, She understood better than anyone that the forest wasn't just a path she walked every day. It was the gateway to her deepest secret. A secret she could never reveal. And for those who dared cross its threshold, they would face a truth far beyond what this world was prepared to comprehend. In the days following Kieran's sudden absence from the market, the village of Karu buzzed with speculation. Kieran had always been a cheerful, familiar face, showing up daily with a radiant smile. Now, without explanation, he had vanished. He used to buy fruit from Naya every day, but now he's nowhere to be seen. Do you think something happened to him? Maybe he discovered something about Naya. She's always been different, hasn't she? Questions swept through the village like a whispering wind, carried from one home to another. Yet, amidst the endless murmurs, only Naya knew the truth. Naya was not like the other villagers in Karu. She came from a place no one dared to speak of, the mystical forest beyond the mountains. This forest, according to whispered legends, was home to strange beings with supernatural powers. But what no one knew was that it was also Naya's home. Her family wasn't human. They were beings with the ability to shift forms, living in harmony with nature and the magical energy of the forest. Naya, through a unique and rare gift, was the only one in her family who could maintain a human form at all times. This ability allowed her to leave the forest and venture into Karu, where she longed to live as an ordinary human. But life among humans was not as simple as she had hoped. Since she was young, Naya's parents had warned her. "Naya, you must not grow close to humans. Our world and theirs are far too different. If they discover the truth, it will bring danger, not just to you, but to all of us." Naya always listened, but deep in her heart she yearned for more. She wanted freedom, to experience life as humans did, to love, to make friends, and to enjoy the simple joys of daily life. When she met Kieran, a spark of light ignited in her world. He was genuine, kind, and made her feel less alone in a world full of barriers. But her connection with Kieran also began to worry her family. When Naya's parents learned about Kieran, their worry turned to anger.
Have you forgotten our warnings, Naya? Humans cannot accept what they do not understand. You're putting all of us at risk.
Naya tried to explain, her voice filled with quiet desperation. Kieran isn't like the others. He's kind and won't harm us. But her words did little to soothe their fears. To protect the family's secret, they decided to act. On the night Kieran walked with Naya through the forest, it was her parents who conjured the icy magical hand that touched his shoulder, a warning meant to frighten him into staying away. They hoped it would be enough to keep him from returning. Naya couldn't stop her parents, but the sadness in her heart only grew. Kieran was truly gone. He no longer came to the market, no longer waited for her each morning. Tss. With each passing day, her smile became more strained, her eyes reflecting a profound sorrow that no one in the village could understand. "How can I live as a human?" she whispered to herself, staring toward the forest where her family resided. "If even the right to love is denied to me." Naya understood that her parents only wanted to protect her, but their protection felt like a cage, trapping her deepest desires to live freely and authentically. As Kieran disappeared from the villagers' conversations, Naya's secret remained, weighing heavily on her shoulders. She knew it was only a matter of time before the truth would surface. When that day came, everything she knew would change forever. Late at night, Naya would stand silently at the edge of the forest, her gaze fixed on the path Kieran had once walked. She couldn't stop herself from wondering, is he afraid of me? Or does he understand that some things can't be explained yet still deserve to be loved? A cold wind brushed past her, making her shiver. Naya knew the answer wouldn't come easily, but deep in her heart, she held onto a fragile hope that one day she would find a way to bridge the gap between two worlds, a way to no longer have to choose between her family and herself. That night, the sky seemed to sink into an infinite darkness. Even the shimmering starlight couldn't dispel the heavy weight pressing on Naya's heart. She stood at the edge of the path leading deep into the forest, the place where everything began and the source of all her secrets. The trees whispered around her as if offering final words of counsel. But Naya didn't falter. Her steps were light yet deliberate, each crunch of dried leaves beneath her feet echoing like the heartbeat of her resolve. When she reached the clearing, where her family often gathered, the atmosphere shifted. It was no longer the serene stillness of the night, but a charged tension, as if the entire forest were holding its breath. Before her, her parents and siblings emerged in their otherworldly forms. Some bore the fierce features of wolves, while others had great shimmering wings that glistened under the moonlight. Yet in their eyes, there was no hostility, only deep sorrow and faint disappointment. Her father, ever stern and commanding, was the first to speak. His voice, deep and resonant, seemed to meld with the very breath of the forest. "Naya, why have you returned at this hour? You know the warnings we've given you." Naya didn't shy away. She lifted her head, her gaze unwavering, though her heart felt like it was being crushed. "I love all of you," she began, her voice steady but thick with emotion. "But I can't live like this anymore. I want a life of my own. I want freedom." Her mother stepped forward, her gentle eyes shimmering with unshed tears, as though trying to ease her daughter's pain. "Naya, do you understand how harsh the world out there can be? You are part of this forest. If you leave, you will always be an outsider. You will never truly belong among them." Naya felt her chest tighten, but she couldn't turn back now. She had dreamed of freedom for so long, and this was her one chance to make it real. "I know it won't be easy," she admitted, her voice firm despite the tremor in her chest. "But I have to try. I can't live my life in fear. If I don't step outside, how will I ever know if happiness is possible?" Her father sighed, his gaze heavy with unspoken grief. After a long pause, he finally spoke.
"If this is what you want, we won't stop you. But remember, the world out there will never fully accept someone like you. If you face danger, don't return here seeking our protection. You've chosen your path."
His words cut through Naya's heart like a blade, but she held her ground, her determination unshaken. Her mother approached, reaching out to touch Naya's hand. For the first time, Naya felt a faint tremor in her mother's grasp, as if fear were seeping through her fingertips. "Be careful, Naya," she whispered, her voice breaking. "We love you, but out there, they may not be what you hope for." Naya nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. She embraced her mother one last time, holding on to the warmth of her family, a comfort she knew she would not feel often in the future. "I love you all," she said, her voice hoarse with emotion. "But I have to go." Turning away, Naya walked forward, not daring to look back. She feared that if she did, she might not find the strength to keep moving. Behind her, the whispers of her family blended with the rustling of the wind through the trees. Each step she took away from them made her heart grow heavier. Yet, within her, a flame of hope burned brighter. She didn't know what awaited her in Karu, but she knew one thing: she would do whatever it took to find happiness. As Naya crossed the boundary of the forest, the moonlight suddenly seemed to shine brighter, illuminating her path. The silence of the night felt almost reverent, as though the world itself were welcoming her into a new chapter of her life. But what Naya didn't realize was that waiting ahead of her were not just trials, but also the harsh truths of living between two worlds. One she belonged to by birth, and one she desperately wished to be part of. Will Naya truly find the happiness she has sacrificed so much to pursue? Will the human world embrace her? Or will the secrets she hides drag her into even greater challenges? As the shadows of her past silently loom, can Naya overcome them? Or will her own heart prove to be her greatest trial? Follow along to uncover shocking twists, untold secrets, and an ending you won't see coming. Don't forget to hit follow so you won't miss the next part. more thrilling and captivating than ever. Will Naya truly find the happiness she has sacrificed so much to pursue? Will the human world embrace her, or will the secrets she hides drag her into even greater challenges? As the shadows of her past silently loom, can Naya overcome them, or will her own heart prove to be her greatest trial? Follow along to uncover shocking twists, untold secrets, and an ending you won't see coming. Don't forget to hit follow so you won't miss the next part, more thrilling and captivating than ever. Naya, a mysterious girl living in the village of Karu, captivates everyone with her gentle beauty while keeping her distance, hiding a significant secret. Kieran, a young merchant drawn to her, tries to get closer but is pushed away by the mysteries and the curse surrounding her. As their relationship develops, an event in the forest leaves Kieran terrified, causing him to disappear from the village, leaving Naya alone to grapple with her solitude and the inner conflict of whether she can live between two worlds. And what awaits Naya next? Stay tuned for episode 2 to find out. The morning sun streamed through the leafy canopy, casting a warm glow over the bustling market of Karu. That day, as Naya busily arranged her baskets of fresh, vibrant fruit, a stranger appeared. He was tall, refined with deep, captivating eyes and a warm, genuine smile. This was Caleb, a travelling cloth merchant from a distant village, arriving with rolls of colourful silk in tow. When Caleb's eyes met Naya's, he found himself unable to look away. She wasn't just beautiful. She exuded an air of mystery that defied explanation. With a basket of radiant fruit by her side, she seemed like a living painting, gentle, serene, yet cloaked in an aura of untouchable distance. Caleb hesitated for a moment before stepping forward, his smile soft but sincere. "Hello, I'm Caleb," he said, his voice steady yet filled with intrigue.
I came to Karu to sell my cloth, but it seems the most beautiful thing here isn't my wares, it's your stall.
Naya's cheeks flushed faintly, though her smile remained calm and measured. "Thank you, Caleb," she replied, her tone polite but warm. "I'm Naya. What can I help you find for your journey?" Their conversation began as simply as that, but for Caleb, that moment marked a turning point. He knew instantly that Naya was unlike anyone he had ever met. From that day on, Caleb became a regular visitor to the market. Each time he brought small tokens, a soft silk scarf, a simple yet elegant hairpin, or even just a humorous story from his travels. Every visit was accompanied by sincere words that revealed the depth of his admiration. "Naya, you're unlike anyone I've ever met. There's something about you that makes me want to know more, to understand you better." At first, Naya kept her distance. The wounds of her past were still fresh, etched deeply into her heart. But Caleb's patience and warmth gradually chipped away at the walls she had built. He never pressured her to open up. He simply stayed by her side, ready to listen whenever she was willing to share. One quiet afternoon, as the market began to empty, Caleb finally voiced the question that had been weighing on his mind. "Naya, would you consider starting a new life with me? I don't know your past, but I want to be by your side, to build a future together." Naya's heart swelled with emotion, but it was quickly followed by a surge of fear. Her eyes betrayed the turmoil within her, as if shadows of the past had returned to haunt her. I need time to think, Caleb," she said softly, her voice tinged with uncertainty. Caleb didn't push. He simply smiled, his expression unwavering in its kindness. "Take all the time you need, Naya. I'll wait as long as it takes." After Caleb left, Naya sat quietly at her stall, her gaze fixed on the distant mountains at the edge of the horizon. His proposal filled her with both hope and anxiety. She had never dared to dream of building a life with someone else, especially while her secret remained an unshakable burden. In her mind, the warnings of her parents echoed clearly. "You don't belong in the human world, Naya. If your secret is revealed, they will never accept you. Don't let yourself get hurt. But at the same time, Caleb's genuine eyes and sincere words stirred something within her. For the first time in what felt like forever, she began to wonder if she might not be entirely alone after all. In the days that followed, Caleb made no mention of Naya's decision. Instead, he continued to spend time with her, learning about the small, everyday details of her life. He would arrive at the market early in the morning, helping her arrange her fruit baskets and chatting with her about the customers who stopped by. He shared tales of his travels, dusty roads, far-off villages, and the friendships he had forged along the way. Naya listened intently, and with each passing day, she found herself feeling lighter in his presence. Caleb never asked about her past or tried to pry into the hidden corners of her heart. One quiet afternoon, she finally asked him the question that had been lingering in her mind. "Caleb, why are you so kind to me?" He looked at her, his smile as gentle as the fading light of day. "Because I believe everyone deserves happiness, Naya, and I want to be the one to bring that to you." Caleb's words were like a tiny flame, lighting up a corner of Naya's guarded heart. Though her worries still loomed, she couldn't deny the warmth she felt when she was with him. For the first time, she allowed herself to consider the possibility of a new beginning, a life no longer bound by the shadows of her past or her invisible fears. But could her secret truly remain hidden forever? And would the bond between her and Caleb be strong enough to weather the trials ahead? As the days stretched on, these questions lingered like an unanswered melody, casting both hope and uncertainty over the fragile connection growing between them. The day Caleb proposed to Naya, the sky seemed brighter than ever. He had planned everything carefully, choosing a picturesque spot by the stream near Karu village, where sunlight filtered through the trees, creating a scene that sparkled like a fairy tale. Caleb knelt on one knee, his eyes glowing with sincerity. "Naya, you are the most wonderful thing that has ever happened to me. I don't care about your past or the secrets you keep. I only want to be with you, to build a new future together. Naya, will you marry me?" Naya froze. Her heart felt like it was being pulled in two directions. One part of her longed to say yes, to be loved and live like an ordinary person. But another part was paralyzed by fear. Her secret, the curse that had followed her from her past, would never allow her a life of true happiness. Yet, when she looked into Caleb's eyes, she felt a flicker of hope. With a trembling voice, Naya nodded and whispered, "Yes, I will." Caleb laughed joyfully and wrapped her in his arms, but their happiness was short-lived, for a greater challenge awaited them. The following day, Caleb brought Naya to his home to meet his family. His house, nestled in the heart of a larger, bustling village, was warm and inviting. Yet as Naya stepped inside, she was overcome by a strange feeling. Instead of a warm welcome, she was met with the cold, scrutinizing gaze of Caleb's mother, Eliza. Eliza was a strong, sharp-witted woman. Her piercing eyes seemed capable of seeing straight into a person's soul. When she saw Naya, her gaze narrowed as though trying to uncover something hidden. Before Caleb could even introduce them, Eliza spoke, her voice cold and commanding. "There is something off about this girl. I can feel a darkness around her." Her words struck Naya like a dagger. She stood frozen, a chill running down her spine. Caleb quickly interjected, his voice tinged with shock and confusion. "Mother, how could you say such a thing? Naya is the woman I love and she's completely normal." But Eliza was unmoved. She stepped closer to Naya, her sharp gaze cutting through her like a blade. "Normal? No, Caleb. A person like her cannot be normal. I don't know what it is, but something is deeply wrong, and this family does not welcome secrets." Naya couldn't speak. She knew Eliza wasn't wrong. No matter how hard she tried to hide her secret, the curse clung to her like an unrelenting shadow. Her hands trembled slightly, but she forced herself to stay calm. Turning to Caleb, she silently pleaded for his support. But despite his love for her, Caleb couldn't defy his mother. He hesitated, his voice faltering. "Naya, My mother is just concerned. We can convince her, we just need more time. But time couldn't erase the curse. Naya knew this better than anyone. The sting of rejection welled up inside Naya, bringing with it the pain she had tried so hard to forget. She looked at Caleb, the man she had pinned her hopes on, but now he stood there, powerless. "Caleb, you don't need to try anymore," she said, her voice trembling yet resolute. "I don't want to be a burden to you or your family. I've grown used to being alone." "Naya, no! We can get through this together," Caleb pleaded, stepping forward to take her hand, but Naya stepped back, tears streaming down her face. "No, Caleb, you don't understand. There are things beyond our control, and I don't belong here." Naya left the house, leaving Caleb behind, along with all the fragile hopes for a happy future. She walked quickly through the village, feeling the weight of countless unseen eyes watching her, silently judging her. Deep down, she knew she couldn't escape the truth. The curse was an inseparable part of her, a shadow that refused to fade. And every time she tried to build a new life, that darkness would return, driving her away from the people she loved. Beneath the cold light of the moon, Naya whispered to herself, "Perhaps happiness was never meant for someone like me." That night, Naya walked along the path leading into the forest, where the darkness seemed to swallow every ray of light. The village market of Karu had become a distant memory, and her heart was heavy with disappointment. This journey was not an escape, but a search. The ancient temple of Abara, hidden deep within the mystical forest, was whispered about among the villagers as the dwelling place of a powerful spirit. It was said that this spirit could grant blessings or curses, but only appeared to those who were truly sincere. With every step, whispers from the trees seemed to echo around her, blending with the howl of the wind through the leaves. Naya clutched her shawl tightly, her breath mingling with the cold night air. Though fear gripped her, she pressed on, for this was her last hope to break free from the curse that bound her. When she finally reached the temple, Naya froze in awe at its ethereal beauty. The intricately carved stone pillars, covered in vines and moss, glowed softly as if emanating light from the heart of the forest itself. At the center stood a grand altar, surrounded by flickering candles, seemingly untouched by human hands. Naya knelt before the altar, her trembling hands clasped together. She closed her eyes, feeling the breath of the forest around her, and prayed with all the sincerity in her heart.
"Great Abara, please free me from this curse. All I want is to live freely and find true love."
"I've endured enough." Tears streamed silently down her cheeks, falling onto the cold stone beneath her. The air grew unnaturally still, as if the entire forest were listening to her plea. Suddenly, a soft light emerged from the altar, spreading throughout the temple. A faint figure began to materialize, radiating an aura of majesty and indescribable power. It was Abara, the ancient spirit of the forest. Abara's voice resonated, deep and commanding, yet warm, as if it touched the very core of Naya's soul. "Naya, I have heard your plea. This curse is not easily lifted, for it is not only a chain, but also a lesson you must overcome." Naya lifted her head, her eyes filled with both hope and fear. "Please, Abara, help me. I am willing to do anything. I just want to live free, to love and be loved without fear." Abara was silent for a moment, then spoke again. "I can release you, but on one condition. You must never let anger control your heart. If you fail to keep your calm and compassion, the curse will return, stronger than before." Naya hesitated for a brief moment. She understood the storm of emotions within her. Anger and pain had consumed her many times before, yet she knew this was her one chance to change her fate.
"I promise, Abara. I will control my heart. Please, free me."
Abara nodded, the light around the spirit glowing brighter, illuminating the entire temple. With a graceful motion, Abara raised a hand. A warm wind enveloped Naya, bringing with it a profound sense of relief she had never known. She felt the weight on her shoulders lift, as if an invisible chain had been severed. "The curse has been lifted," Abara said. "But remember, the true test lies ahead. Only by keeping your promise will you truly find happiness." As the light faded, Naya stood, feeling a profound transformation within herself. For the first time in years, she felt free, no longer shackled by the darkness of the curse. She bowed deeply in gratitude to Abara. "Thank you. I will not fail you." Abara disappeared, leaving Naya alone in the stillness of the temple. But this time, the silence wasn't oppressive. It carried a sense of hope, as if a new chapter was ready to be written. When Naya stepped out of the forest, the moonlight illuminated her path, and a faint smile graced her lips. Though challenges still awaited her, she now had a chance to create the life she had always dreamed of. After that fateful night at the Abara temple, when the curse was lifted, Naya returned to Karu village with a lighter heart, though doubts still lingered. Would the villagers accept her, or would the shadows of her past continue to haunt her? She wasn't sure, but she knew she had to try, for she had vowed to live a life free of fear. One afternoon, as Naya visited the familiar stream to fetch water, she spotted a man crouched by the water's edge, carefully filling a wooden bucket. He was tall with a gentle demeanor and warm, compassionate eyes. Sensing her presence, he looked up and smiled warmly. "Are you all right?" he asked, his deep, soothing voice breaking the stillness of the quiet surroundings. "You seem to have a lot on your mind." Naya froze for a moment. It had been so long since she felt genuine concern from someone. She smiled softly, masking the turmoil inside. "I'm fine, it's been a long day." He didn't press further, but the kindness in his gaze made her feel at ease. After a moment of hesitation, they began talking. His name was Daniel, a man from another village who had come to Karu seeking work. He spoke of his simple life, his days of farming, and the joy he found in the small, peaceful moments. Their encounters by the stream soon became more than mere chance. Daniel often stopped there, bringing light-hearted stories or small gifts, like a pretty leaf or a wildflower he had found along the way. Naya felt her heart slowly opening. Daniel didn't pry into her past, nor did he try to uncover the secrets she guarded so closely. He was simply there, ready to listen and share. One evening, as the crimson hues of sunset painted the sky, Naya hesitated before asking, "Daniel, aren't you curious about me? I know I seem a little different from the people of Karu." Daniel smiled, his gaze filled with sincerity. "Everyone has a past, Naya, but I don't care about what's behind you. I care about who you are now." His words were like a gentle breeze that soothed the deepest corners of Naya's soul, giving her a sense of safety she had never known. One day, as they strolled through a meadow blooming with wildflowers near the village, Daniel suddenly stopped. Turning to face her, his eyes held a mix of determination and tenderness. "Naya, you're the most beautiful thing that's ever happened in my life. I don't know if I can give you everything you deserve, but I promise to try my best to make you happy. Naya, will you marry me?" Naya stood stunned, her heart swelling with both joy and a flicker of fear. But this time, she refused to let her past hold her back. She smiled, tears welling in her eyes. "Yes, Daniel, I will." Their wedding was a simple yet joyous affair held in Karu's village square, under the golden sunlight, with the entire village as witnesses. Those who had once been wary of Naya now lined up to offer their heartfelt blessings. Naya wore a simple white dress, her hair adorned with a crown of wildflowers. Daniel couldn't stop smiling, his gaze never leaving her, filled with love and admiration. The villagers celebrated with songs, dances, and laughter that echoed through the air. No one remembered the old rumors or the shadows that had once surrounded Naya. Now, she was one of them, cherished and accepted. As night fell, Naya and Daniel sat together under a sky full of stars. Naya gazed upward, feeling a freedom she had yearned for her entire life. "Daniel," she whispered, "I never thought I could find happiness, but you've shown me that love can heal even the deepest wounds." Daniel gently held her hand, smiling as he replied, "Happiness isn't easy, but you deserve it, and I'll always be here to face whatever comes together with you." Naya smiled, knowing her journey had been more than just about breaking a curse. It had been a lesson in courage, forgiveness, and the true meaning of love. Naya's story reminds us that sometimes the hardest journey is learning to accept and forgive ourselves. What did you take away from her story? If you loved it, don't forget to like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to African Tales Best for more captivating stories.
You weak mortals! Do you think you can defy me? You have polluted my waters, and now you shall pay the price. From this day forth, fear and darkness will be your only companions.
Brace yourself for a battle between mortals and a divine force where the fate of Seabreeze will be decided forever. In a small coastal village, hidden between towering cliffs and the vast ocean, life for the villagers flowed peacefully and harmoniously. The main river, winding its way through the heart of the village, was not just a source of pristine water, but also the lifeblood of their existence. It provided fresh water for daily use and fertile lands for expansive rice fields. Each day, fresh fish caught from the river enriched their lives, fostering a tightly knit community that thrived on mutual dependence. This village was not only celebrated for its breathtaking natural beauty, but also for the warm hospitality and tireless dedication of its people. They cherished every drop of water, every fish caught, and worked diligently each day to ensure a sustainable way of life. Their traditions and customs were preserved with unwavering respect, passed down from one generation to the next, like a sacred bond unbroken by time. However, time waits for no one. As the years passed, development and new conveniences began to creep into the village. The once diligent villagers grew lazy and careless in preserving their environment. Slowly, household waste and even the bodies of the deceased were discarded directly into the river, their once pristine lifeline. At first, the pollution was subtle, barely noticeable, but gradually a foul stench began to spread, and the river's once clear waters turned murky. It wasn't long before fish started dying, floating lifelessly on the surface, and the fertile lands became tainted. The villagers' way of life grew harder with each passing day. Yet they persisted in their carelessness, blind to the fact that they were slowly destroying the very source of their survival. In the mysterious darkness of the deep ocean, where light barely flickers through thick layers of water, the sea goddess Mara, a powerful and enigmatic being, silently watched over every action in the village of Seabreeze. She was not only its protector, but also the spirit deeply intertwined with the Crystal River, the sole source of balance between humanity and nature. Yet the villagers' carelessness and lack of respect had awakened a profound fury within her. One foggy morning, as the faint light of dawn barely kissed the horizon, the villagers awoke to the sound of wind chimes echoing through their coastal homes. But instead of the usual tranquility, they were met with an unsettling discovery. They couldn't move. Old rickety carts stood frozen in place, and even the elderly couldn't step out of their homes. It was as if an invisible force had cast an eerie barrier, halting their every effort to go about their daily lives. Panic spread quickly, like wildfire through dry woods. Villagers gathered in the center of the village, their eyes vacant, their hearts racing. Fearful whispers echoed, speaking of supernatural events that, until now, only existed in ancient folklore. Amidst the chaos, the shimmering light of the Crystal River began to ripple, as though the sea goddess Mara was preparing her next move in punishing the village. The tension thickened as faint blue glimmers began to take shape on the water's surface, signaling Mara's presence. Gentle waves brushed against the riverbanks, yet beneath the surface, an unyielding power and resolve lay hidden. The villagers could not have foreseen that they were on the brink of witnessing a confrontation between mortals and a divine force, one that would decide the fate of Seabreeze. Amidst the chaos and confusion of Seabreeze, as the villagers struggled to understand what was happening, the shimmering light from the crystal river grew stronger, more vibrant. A thin veil of mist cloaked the river, and from its center, a massive figure began to rise, glowing under the sunlight that pierced through the water's surface. It was none other than the sea goddess Mara, regal and commanding, with her long hair cascading like waves of the ocean and her eyes sparkling like deep-sea gems. Standing tall in the heart of the village, the light from Mara reflected off the water, creating a scene that was both majestic and otherworldly. She stepped forward, her movements graceful yet full of power, drawing every eye to her. Then her voice broke through the tense silence, strong and resonant, like the wind howling against the cliffs.
People of Seabreeze, you have polluted the crystal river with your irresponsibility and waste. My once pure waters are now defiled and lifeless. From this day forward, you will pay for your sins. Before any woman in this village can conceive a child, her husband must partake in a ritual with the two sea spirits, Lyra and Luna, who dwell in the depths below. Only then will your lands be spared from disaster for generations to come.
The curse was not merely a warning, it was a declaration of divine justice, laced with Mara's unyielding authority. Blue light swirled around her, as though she was summoning a great force. The villagers stood frozen in fear, their hearts heavy with dread and helplessness. The tension thickened as Mara raised her hand, and from her palm a powerful wave surged through the village, marking the beginning of a new and challenging chapter. The sea goddess Mara was not just delivering punishment. She was imparting a profound message about the importance of protecting nature and maintaining harmony between humanity and the environment. The village of Seabreeze now faced an inevitable transformation, and their journey to save themselves and the natural world they had neglected had officially begun. Just minutes after the sea goddess Mara had spoken, the atmosphere grew more chaotic than ever. From the depths of the ocean, two shimmering figures began to emerge, Lyra and Luna. They were not only breathtakingly beautiful, but also carried an irresistible, enchanting power. With skin as smooth as seashells and eyes that sparkled like starlight, they glided over the water's surface, like mythical mermaids come to life. Lyra stepped onto the shore, her delicate movements creating gentle ripples in the water. Luna followed, a soft smile gracing her lips as their voices echoed through the air, resonating in the hearts of everyone in the village. "We are here to carry out the curse of the sea goddess Mara," Lyra announced, her voice imbued with an otherworldly tone that held everyone spellbound. The men of the village, though hesitant, began to feel the magnetic pull of Lyra and Luna. Their presence was not merely a punishment, but also a promise of new life, stirring a deep conflict within each man. Should they obey the ritual to save their families or remain loyal to their wives? As emotions surged, Lyra and Luna began to move gracefully, calling out the names of individual men with their mesmerizing voices. The melodies did more than captivate. They unearthed buried memories and stirred unspoken fears, leaving each man feeling as though he was being drawn into an inescapable nightmare. Their beauty and their song held a power that blurred the lines between salvation and torment, leaving the villagers torn and uncertain of the path forward. The tradition of Lyra and Luna's bond quickly became an inescapable dark legend in the village of Seabreeze. Every month, under the dim glow of the moonlight, dozens of men lined up along the riverbank, awaiting their turn to participate in the mysterious ritual. These nights were not only shrouded in darkness, but also marked the beginning of countless family tragedies. Men returned home with souls weighed down by guilt and hearts burdened with regret. Among those struggling under the pressure was a young fisherman named Ethan and his wife, Mia. For years, they had tried unsuccessfully to have a child, and the strain of their failure had gradually taken a toll on their relationship. Month after month, Ethan felt his hope and faith slipping away, while Mia sank deeper into sorrow and despair. This tradition was not just a nightmare for them, it was a painful reminder of their helplessness in the face of supernatural forces. One night, under a radiant full moon that reflected on the river's surface, Ethan stood alone at the water's edge. His soul felt adrift, lost amid the vastness of the ocean and the weight of his own thoughts. Then, he felt it, a strange presence. The ethereal forms of Lyra and Luna, enchanting and dangerous sea spirits, seemed to emerge from the shadows. Their mesmerizing voices echoed through the air, tugging at his resolve. The allure was nearly impossible to resist. But deep within Ethan, a flicker of determination began to burn. Could he sacrifice his love and loyalty to save his family's future? While Ethan wrestled with his emotions, Mia began to notice strange occurrences around their home. Shadows moved unexpectedly in the night, whispers with no clear source filled the air, and the sensation of being watched was constant. These eerie signs grew stronger, and Mia knew they were approaching a point of no return, a crossroads that would determine not only their fate, but also the destiny of the entire village of Seabreeze. The air was thick with tension, every moment building toward a decision that would forever alter their lives. The full moon illuminated the sky over Seabreeze, casting a magical glow along the shores of the Crystal River. Ethan stood alone, his heart pounding in his chest. The pain he carried for Mia and the pressure of the sea goddess Mara's curse weighed heavily on him, making him feel trapped. He knew that if he didn't act, his family's future would be swallowed by darkness. As Lyra and Luna emerged onto the shore, their eyes gleamed under the moonlight. "Ethan, we are here to help you," Lyra said, her voice melodic yet commanding. Ethan felt the pull of their enchantment, but his loyalty to Mia anchored him, keeping him from surrendering too easily. "Isn't there another way to save my family?" Ethan asked, his voice trembling but resolute. Lyra gave a soft, knowing smile.
"There is another path, but it is fraught with challenges and mysteries. If you dare to walk it, you will uncover the truth behind the curse."
Ethan gazed down at the river, his mind a storm of conflicting emotions. The choice before him would not only shape the fate of his family, but also the entire village of Seabreeze. Taking a deep breath, he stepped toward Lyra and Luna, determination etched on his face. He was ready to face whatever trials awaited him, to protect the love he held dear and restore peace to his home. As Ethan entered the underwater realm guided by Lyra and Luna, he immediately felt the shift. This place was not only a world entirely different from the village of Seabreeze, but also one filled with mysteries yet to be uncovered. The shimmering light from sea gemstones illuminated the surroundings, creating an enchanting atmosphere. Yet beneath its beauty lurked countless hidden dangers. While Ethan wrestled with his emotions in this strange new world back home, Mia began experiencing unsettling phenomena. Haunting dreams of the ocean and eerie whispers invaded her nights, depriving her of rest. One evening, as she gazed into a mirror, the figure of the sea goddess Mara appeared, her eyes filled with discontent. Mara stared at Mia with a cold intensity and issued a dire warning about the unimaginable consequences should Ethan fail to complete his mission. Back underwater, Ethan encountered strange creatures and faced grueling challenges. He discovered that Lyra and Luna were not merely sea spirits. They carried ancient secrets tied to the origins of the Crystal River. These revelations only deepened Ethan's curiosity and strengthened his resolve to uncover the truth. Yet with every step, his fear for his family's future grew more profound. The intertwining of light and shadow, hope and dread pushed Ethan forward as the weight of his choices bore down heavier than ever. As the days turned into months, the village of Seabreeze sank deeper into turmoil. The men, ensnared by the ritual with Lyra and Luna, grew distant and silent. Meanwhile, the women sat together under the dim light of oil lamps, their eyes filled with pain and helplessness. Frustration and anger simmered within them, like embers on the verge of igniting. They felt betrayed, not just by their husbands, but by the cruel fate imposed upon them by the sea goddess Mara. One night in Mia's small home, a group of women gathered. The faint glow of the oil lamp illuminated their gaunt but determined faces. Mia, her eyes blazing with resolve, broke the silence. "We can't sit here and let them destroy everything we hold dear. This is our family, our lives. If no one else will stand up, then we must do it ourselves." Mia's words were like a rallying cry, awakening the spirit within them. The women began sharing their own stories, strange dreams, ominous shadows, and the darkness enveloping the village. They realized that unity was their greatest weapon. "If we can't rely on our husbands, then we will rely on our own strength," another woman declared, her voice steady and firm. They vowed to break the curse that had befallen their village. To do so, they needed power from a place of legend, a place they had only heard of in whispered tales. It was said that a powerful sorceress, one who could rival even the gods, lived there. Their journey was about to begin, and every step they took would lead them closer to truths they could never have imagined. With determination in their hearts and fire in their souls, they set out, not knowing what awaited them, but certain that they could no longer stand idle. Darkness engulfed the village of Seabreeze, but within the hearts of the wives, a flame of determination began to burn. After many sleepless nights of discussion, they reached a bold decision: to seek out the only person who could help them, Aveline, a legendary sorceress rumoured to live deep within the forest of Forbidden Hollow. Tales spoke of Aveline as a being of unparalleled power, one who not only possessed the strength to challenge gods, but also held secrets about the sea goddess Mara and her wicked curse. Before dawn broke, the group of women left the village. They packed provisions and essential supplies, their hearts heavy with worry, but also alight with hope. Their quiet footsteps pressed into the soft earth, leading them into the mist-laden forest, a place long believed to be the boundary between the natural world and the supernatural. The calls of nocturnal birds echoed through the air, mingling with the rustle of leaves in the wind, creating an eerie, foreboding atmosphere. "Are we sure about this?" one woman whispered, her eyes darting nervously among the shadows of the trees. Mia, leading the group, responded firmly, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. "We have no other choice. This is our last hope." They pressed on, each step carrying them deeper into the unknown, unaware that they were walking closer to dark truths that not even their worst nightmares could have imagined. As the women ventured deeper into the Forbidden Hollow, the atmosphere grew heavier and more enigmatic. The sunlight was blocked by the dense canopy of trees, leaving only faint beams of light to filter through the leaves and illuminate the mist-laden path ahead. The once lively sounds of forest birds had fallen silent, replaced by eerie noises echoing from the shadows, whispers that seemed almost human, and soft footsteps with no visible source. Mia halted, turning to face the group. "Do you hear that? We're not alone," she said, her voice quiet yet firm. The women exchanged anxious glances, their fear evident, but not one of them turned back. They knew that retreating meant surrendering to the curse, leaving their village to eternal despair. A sudden cold breeze swept past them, carrying a strange scent, both sweet and pungent, as though luring them deeper into the unknown. From the distance, a faint light appeared, flickering like the glow of a small fire. "Could that be Aveline?" one of the women whispered, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and hope. They moved forward cautiously, each step feeling like a crossing into another realm. The forest seemed alive, watching, waiting. The light ahead pulsed faintly, both inviting and foreboding. Was it a beacon of salvation, or a trap leading them into an inescapable nightmare? Forbidden Hollow was not a place that let anyone leave easily. Their breaths quickened as they neared the light, the weight of their decision pressing down on them. Whatever awaited them, turning back was no longer an option. A faint green light glowed from the old wooden house, as if watching every step the women took. Before they could knock, The door creaked open on its own, the long, drawn-out sound causing the group to freeze in place. From the shadows inside, a raspy voice echoed, "You have arrived, just as I expected." Standing before them was Aveline, a woman with hair as white as mist and piercing blue eyes that seemed to hold an entire world of secrets. Mia stepped forward, trying to suppress the fear rising in her chest. "We need your help. The sea goddess Mara's curse is destroying our families and our village." Aveline did not respond immediately. Instead, she began to circle the group, her sharp gaze cutting through them as if reading their very souls. "You think breaking this curse will be simple?" she finally said, her voice cold and deliberate. "Mara's curse is not just a punishment. It guards a secret far greater than you could ever imagine." She stopped in front of Mia, locking eyes with her. "I can help you," Aveline continued, her tone grave.
"But you must be willing to pay the price. A trial awaits you, one that will test your courage, your love, and your loyalty to the very limits."
Her words hung heavy in the air, the weight of the challenge sinking into each of their hearts as the true cost of salvation began to reveal itself. Aveline gazed deeply into the eyes of each wife, a mysterious smile flickering across her face. "If you truly wish to break this curse," she said, her voice calm but firm, "you must be prepared to sacrifice, not gold, not blood, but your very sense of self." Mia took a deep breath, her gaze unwavering. "We will do whatever it takes. Tell us, what is this ritual?" Aveline turned, gesturing toward a small room at the back of the house. The door creaked open to reveal 6 wooden coffins, each engraved with glowing pale blue ancient symbols. "This is where your trial begins," Aveline said. "Each of you must lie inside one of these coffins for 7 days and 7 nights. No light, no sound, only you and the absolute darkness. Within that void, you will face your deepest fears. Only when you overcome them will you have the strength to confront Mara." The wives exchanged frightened glances, the fear in their eyes undeniable. "What if we fail?" one of them whispered. Aveline turned sharply, her eyes as cold and unyielding as steel. "Failure is not an option. The darkness will consume you, and no one will be able to pull you back." Mia stepped forward first, her hands trembling but her eyes filled with resolve. "I will do this. If this is the only way to save my family, I won't turn back." One by one, the other wives followed, fear weighing heavily on their hearts, yet none of them retreated. As the lids of the coffins began to close, the room fell into an eerie silence, signaling the start of a trial that would either grant them the power they sought or claim them forever. As the lids of the coffins slowly closed, darkness enveloped each wife completely. No light remained, no sound echoed, only the trembling rhythm of their own breaths. The confined space was cold and stifling, as if it intended to consume them from the very first moment. Mia shut her eyes, willing herself to stay calm, but the images of Ethan and Mara's curse played on a relentless loop in her mind. Could she truly be strong enough to endure this trial? Time crawled by with an agonizing slowness. In the absolute darkness, each woman began to hear whispers. At first, they were faint murmurs, but gradually they grew louder and sharper. "Do you think you can win?" A cold, mocking voice sneered. "Your family's fate is already sealed. You're only wasting your time." Each wife was pulled into a nightmare born from the depths of her own mind. One found herself surrounded by relentless waves, crashing and pulling her under. Another saw the shadow of her husband in the embrace of Lyra and Luna, their cruel smiles a piercing reminder of betrayal. But Mia, her heart steeled by determination, clenched her eyes tighter and whispered,
"I won't let you win. My family is worth fighting for."
While the wives battled their fears within, they remained unaware that outside, the ancient symbols on the coffins began to glow brighter, their light intensifying with each passing moment. The forbidden hollow trembled as if it, too, was testing their resolve. In the face of their darkest fears, the strength of their love and courage would decide their fate. Would they rise from the shadows, or would the darkness claim them forever? As the seventh day dawned, a sudden burst of light erupted within Forbidden Hollow, illuminating the forest that had long been shrouded in darkness. The lids of the coffins creaked open slowly, the sound like the final whisper of the retreating darkness. A thin silver mist rose, swirling around the wives like a mystical veil. One by one, they stepped out, their eyes no longer filled with fear or worry, but instead brimming with determination and a newfound strength. Mia was the first to stand tall, her eyes blazing like fire. Her heart pounded, but it was steady, no longer trembling. The invisible scars left by her fears had vanished, replaced by a soul reborn, stronger than ever. The other wives emerged one by one, their gazes meeting in silent solidarity, a promise that they were ready to face whatever lay ahead. From the shadows, Aveline appeared, a satisfied smile playing on her lips. "You have passed the trial," she said, her voice carrying the weight of both blessing and warning. "The darkness no longer holds power over you. But remember, this is only the beginning. The true battle still awaits you." At that moment, the ground beneath them quivered gently, and a faint blue glow from the crystal river filtered through the trees, as though the river itself was acknowledging their newfound strength. Mia turned toward the light, her heart swelling with hope, yet she knew the path ahead would not be easy. "Lead us to the next step," she said, her voice steady, free of hesitation. The mist began to dissipate, and the forest seemed to whisper of challenges yet to come, but the wives were no longer afraid. They were ready. The crystal river was no longer the peaceful stream it once was. The once calm emerald waters now churned violently, as though the river itself was preparing for a great battle. From a distance, beams of blue light shot up from the depths, piercing the sky and announcing the presence of the sea goddess, Mara. The villagers of Seabreeze gathered along the riverbanks, holding their breath in tense anticipation. Their eyes were fixed on the wives, now warriors reborn with newfound strength. Mia stood at the front, clutching a jade necklace given to her by Aveline before they left Forbidden Hollow. "This will protect you," Aveline had said, "but your true power lies in your resolve." Those words echoed in Mia's mind like a steadfast reminder. She turned to her companions, their eyes meeting hers, a silent vow exchanged without words. Suddenly, the river split apart, and from its depths, a massive figure began to rise. The sea goddess Mara emerged, her hair flowing like crashing waves and her glowing blue eyes radiating authority. She towered over them, her presence overwhelming. Her voice boomed cold and powerful like a raging storm.
"Do you think you are strong enough to face me? I am the guardian of the seas, and you are nothing but weak mortals."
Her words did not faze Mia. She stepped forward boldly, her voice steady and resolute. "You have inflicted pain and cursed our families for too long. Today, we end this." The wives behind her raised their voices in unison, their united strength shining brightly. The jade necklace in Mia's hand began to glow, as though it was responding to her unwavering determination. The sea goddess Mara stood tall in the middle of the crystal river, her glowing blue light illuminating the sky above. The waters churned violently as if reacting to her unbridled fury. The wives, now transformed into warriors, stood firm on the riverbank, their gazes unwavering. The light from the jade necklace in Mia's hand radiated outward, forming a faint shield around the group, protecting them from the dark energy surging out of Mara. "Fools to challenge me!" Mara roared, her voice thundering like the ocean's storms. With a swift motion of her hand, she summoned a massive wave, sending it hurtling toward the women. Mia raised the necklace high, its light reflecting the wave back and stopping it in its tracks. "You're not as all-powerful as you think, Mara," Mia countered, her voice strong and her eyes blazing with unshakable resolve. The real battle began. Mara summoned whirling torrents of water, hurling them at the group, but the wives, empowered by Aveline's ritual, were ready. One raised her hand, conjuring a beam of light that dispersed the waves, while another redirected the currents with her newfound strength. The clash between light and darkness raged fiercely, as if nature itself was bearing witness to the confrontation. But Mara didn't rely on her powers alone. She began wielding her words like weapons. "You think you are strong, but fear and weakness will always remain within you. You will never protect your family, Mia. Ethan is mine forever." Her words struck deep, but instead of faltering, Mia gripped the necklace tighter. "You cannot defeat us, Mara. We fight not just for our families, but for all of Seabreeze." The tale of the sea goddess Mara and the village of Seabreeze is more than just a dramatic legend. It is a poignant reminder of the importance of protecting the environment and the power of unity within a community. It teaches us that, even in the face of the greatest challenges, humanity can prevail through courage, determination, and solidarity. Share this story to spread its message of environmental protection and the strength of unity. Don't forget to subscribe to African Tales Best for more inspiring and meaningful stories like this one.